Today, we are very fortunate to have a very dynamic and innovative leader who shares our passion for aviation and education. Someone we have had the honor of calling our strategic partner for 15 years. Before I ask Craig to join me on the podium, I'd like to tell you a little bit about his amazing journey in aviation. With an unrelenting focus on safety, accountability, innovation, and teamwork, Craig Richmond is the President and CEO of Vancouver Airport Authority. Craig assumed the role in July 2013, following a career in aviation management, including more than a decade in pivotal operational roles at YVR. In 2006, Craig embarked upon a global leadership adventure with YVR's subsidiary, Vantage Airport Group, which took him around the world as CEO to 6 airports in 3 countries. How exciting. With an MBA in pocket from the University of Manitoba, Mr. Richmond also served at home and abroad with the Canadian Forces as a fighter pilot. That's pretty cool. Craig serves as the Canadian Airport Council's Board of Director and is the chair of the Greater Vancouver Gateway Council. With his refreshing mix of airport experience, dynamic leadership, and strategic vision, Mr. Richmond continues to shape and enhance North America's best airport, YVR, and our neighbor. Please join me in welcoming Craig to the stage.
Thanks, Cheryl. Well, thank you, Cheryl, Tom, Ian, John, Mike, Heather and Lynn, people I know very well, families and graduates, thank you all for being here. But most especially, good afternoon to Airport Operations Class 19, Aircraft Maintenance Engineer Class 304, and Aircraft Maintenance Engineer Class 305. After 64 weeks of instruction, you have your Diploma of Technical Studies sitting right up here. Let's give them a big hand. So I'm well aware that I am between you and your diplomas and the food, so I will not drag this out. Now, I've graduated a few times myself from different programs, I should add, and so although your exact experience is unique, I have a bit of an idea how you feel. If you're like I was, you're very, very happy to be finished, kind of excited, and a little anxious about what is next, but mainly proud and, let's face it, relieved that you made it. And you should be, because you dreamed it, you thought about it, you signed up, you showed up, and you did it. Be proud. This makes you a rare person in this world. 80% of life is showing up. Attendance does count. And you have really shown up by completing these courses. Now I have a question, perhaps you can help me with this, email it to me later, seeing you've just graduated. Does BCIT stand for better cram it in them or being crammed into teams? Which one is it? You can tell me later. You know, as I look out, I see such a great, diverse group of students, and for those of you who came from other countries, thank you for picking British Columbia and BCIT. We loved having you here. We hope you had a great time. Please come back and visit often. Now, I'm going to talk about the industry you're getting into just a bit, and then specifically I'll address the 2 groups. Then I'm going to give you a couple of thoughts about what lies ahead. Nothing too hard, and there is no exam as far as I know. Also, feel free to discount everything I have to say. You don't have to follow my advice, but my first piece of advice is you should always listen to advice and then you can discount it later. Sometimes there'll be little diamonds in there that can help you in your work or your life. Now, you've had an excellent group of instructors who advised you in all things from electronics and avionics to airport operating manuals, and clearly you took their advice or you wouldn't be graduating. So the industry you're joining, it's an amazing industry at an amazing time. Aviation, more than any other endeavor or any mode of transportation, is in the business of opening up new worlds of business and leisure, and in the business of connecting people. About 10 years ago in the industry, we wondered if the advent of video conferencing would decrease air travel. Now we all use Skype and FaceTime and Uvu and Tabgo and Fring, and we're connected by email and Facebook and Instagram and Weibo and 100 other apps. Yet air travel continues to grow by leaps and bounds. Video calling, texting, and just plain old phone calls are nice, but there's no substitute for meeting face-to-face. I've been part of multi-million-dollar deals, and at some point, as many phone calls as you've had, you have to look in the other person's eyes. You have to read their body language. You have to make a connection. And who wants to attend a family or a school reunion using Skype? You want to, you need to, you must actually be there. And that's what air travel does, and that's why it will continue to grow and thrive in the coming decades. I was at a planning session a few months ago where a professor in alternative energy said something remarkable and very interesting about oil. He said that future generations will be amazed that we wasted oil on cars and buses and boats and making plastic bags, when its most obvious and highest and best use is air travel. He meant that no conceivable battery will propel an airliner with 300 passengers at 500 miles per hour at 40,000 feet for 12 hours. Only jet fuel, which comes from oil, has the energy to do that. And air travel will only grow in demand as the world gets richer. So he basically said we should be saving all of our oil for aviation. I agree. Aviation will only become more and more important, more intertwined with everything we do, from business and leisure travel to online shopping and the transshipment of goods all around the planet. So aviation has a very, very bright future. Now, it won't all be clear sailing. Commercial aviation is subject to the same ups and downs as any business, and a few more that can happen occasionally, like war and terrorism and disease. So you have to be ready mentally and financially, if you can save a little money, for the downturns. The good news is they don't last. The bad news is they do arrive, but aviation always comes roaring back, and even if the downturns last a few years, aviation will come back. It's also not going to be easy. When it's 3 o'clock in the morning and you're pulling an engine on a helicopter in the dark, in the wet, and the cold, it won't be easy. When you're torquing a nut in the desert hanging almost upside down and it's so hot the sweat is blinding your eyes, it won't be much fun. When you're standing in front of a group of angry ground handlers as you try to tell them what the new regulations are, or you're in front of a group of angry noise committee members, you'll wish you were somewhere else. And trying to concentrate on a runway check when you've been up for 18 hours will seem almost impossible. But you'll all do these things and you'll do them well. And always remember that the universe balances itself. You'll be rewarded handsomely for your efforts. You'll be having the time of your life. You'll make very good money in bonuses, and you'll travel a lot, both for business and pleasure. And if you work for our airport, you park for free. But more than that, much more than that, you can look at an airplane leaving and you can say, I did that. I had a large part to play in that aircraft heading out over the ocean. When you drive home after work, you can take real pride in the work that you do, and that is no small thing. Well, you've just graduated from very technical programs and you are well on your way. So I have 2 general pieces of advice that I can give you after having interviewed and worked with thousands of young people in 5 countries. First, your technical expertise is absolutely necessary, but it's not enough. By all means, please continue to excel in the technical application of your craft. Delight in your craft. Continuously improve your skills and your expert knowledge. However, if you want to succeed, technical skills won't be enough. You have to work well with other people. Now, I know some of you may be saying inside your head, no way, man, I'm a wrench turner. Or, no way, I'm in airport ops, I'm not in HR. Well, sorry, but you're going to be working for and with other people for the rest of your life. So you might as well get good at it. And from what I hear, you're already well on your way. I understand that Class 305 blended many different cultures so well that lunches were like being at a United Nations fine restaurant. And that birthdays were celebrated according to each student's traditions. And I think that's fantastic. You keep that spirit up wherever you end up working, and I promise you'll have a very rewarding and fun career wherever on the planet you end up. The second piece of advice, which may be a little hard to take today at graduation, is that you are well begun, but you're not done. For you in the aircraft maintenance field, you're well on your way to the AME license. For you in airport ops, there are literally hundreds of things you'll have to study. But don't despair, it's just part of the job. Learning is a lifelong affair, and the more you learn, the more valuable you will be in any workplace. I know at this exact moment in time, the idea of more studying makes you sick. But in a few years, you'll be ready for more, believe it or not, and your employers will insist on it. So now to the aircraft maintenance engineers of classes 304 and 305. I have a special place in my heart for those who fix airplanes. I used to fly them for a living, and so I quite literally trusted my life to the maintenance team. My father was in Air Force maintenance, so you could say it runs in my family. In your studies, you have learned what attention to detail really means. You will use that mindset for the next 30 years in whatever job you are assigned. You're problem solvers and you're builders, and you're the wizards who make the magical flying machines work. So be proud and live up to the standard that you and BCIT have set for you. Well done. And to Airport Operations Class 19, welcome to the wonderful world of airports. When I finished my business degree, I had no plans to become involved in airport operations, but I'm so glad that I took a part-time consulting job back at YVR in 1995. That small job led me to the manager of airside operations, the VP of airport operations, and then the CEO of airports around the world, ending up back here in YVR. I had no idea of the interesting and fun times that were ahead of me as an airport professional. Airport operations is not easy, and it can sometimes break your heart, but it's an amazing line of work. One piece of advice for you getting into airport ops: when you get out there at an airport, if there's a problem or an issue or an opportunity nobody else wants, don't be afraid to dive in. In fact, find the problem that seems insolvable. Find the problem that people have avoided because it's too hard. Arm yourself with all the facts, get a good team together, talk to a lot of people, and then solve that problem. That's the way you build a career, not by waiting for something you want to work on, but by tackling the hard problems that nobody else wants. Also, you have to mentally and physically be ready. Something will come at you that no one saw coming. Something like 9/11, where at YVR we had to land 34 jumbos and shut down the runways to park them. Something like SARS, which stopped all Asian flights from YVR for 90 days. Or something like the Olympics, which put YVR under the microscope for the whole world to see. Whether it all worked or whether or not the whole world was watching. It did work, by the way. You're the unsung heroes of aviation. You work the interface between the land and the sky, between being earthbound and flying through the air, between static and dynamic. Mostly behind the scenes, in areas and jobs the public will never see or understand. You have to finish the puzzle every day, the puzzle that moves thousands of airplanes, bags, and people safely and efficiently. You will become the airport leaders of tomorrow, so be proud. Again, well done. As I stand here at the top of my aviation career and, probably nearing its end, I have to say I am so jealous of all of you. You're just starting your careers in the amazing world of commercial aviation. What wonders you're going to see, what adventures you're going to have, what stories you're going to have, and how much fun you're going to have doing it. You've already made lifelong friends here, and you'll make many more in the decades to come. And then someday, much sooner than you're ready for, and much sooner than you think, you'll be standing on a stage looking at a bunch of smart, excited, and fairly young people about to start their careers, and you'll be giving them a speech. Now, I wish I could stay around and meet you and your families, but unfortunately my schedule today would not allow it, so I'll have to leave. But finally, to your instructors, I say good job. Thank you for sending these fine young people on their way. To your families, I say a tremendous thank you as well for all the emotional and moral support, and I suppose sometimes some financial support. And to you, Aircraft Maintenance Engineer Class 304 and Class 305, and Airport Operations Class 19. I'm finished speaking, and you're done waiting. It's time for your awards and diplomas. Thank you.